Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Invest With Nikkei podcast, where we talk all about real estate, wealth building, and how to build your fire so you can build financial independence to retire early. I am here with one of my great partners. I've done business with him for years, and he has been critical to my success, and I love working with him. So I wanted to bring him on because he has so much value. Welcome to the show, Chris McAtee with Coral Cove Media. Say hi.
Hi, everybody, and thank you, Nikki. And yeah, you've been a great partner to work with and a friend for the years we've known each other, and definitely have synergized really well and built our businesses a long way from when we first met. So
I
excited to see where
know.
we go from here.
Yeah, I remember when we first met, we were just talking about like goals and vision and strategy and like what we wanted to do, and it was just like, wow, we're literally like
Mm.
living it now. We
Yep,
did that. Like we're
yep,
still building. Of course, we're always still building. Any good entrepreneur is, but
yeah.
yeah, it's been cool
We've
to.
got two commercial deals on the table that we're working on, and
Yup.
yeah, all
Your
kinds of
media
things.
company's booming. My real estate business is booming. We build a portfolio. Like it's crazy. So
Yep,
it's crazy how much like when you just lock in and you like lock arms with people that you know and you
yep,
can trust and like you're willing to like grow together, what you can really create. It's been
100%.
cool. So today we're going in on how media and marketing create top performing short term rentals. Okay. You can have an incredible product. You can have an incredible short term rental, but if you don't market it and you don't have the media to showcase that property, you're dead. It doesn't even matter. You could have the
Yep.
nicest property in the entire world and it will not perform if you don't know how to
Nobody will
market.
ever see it. Yep.
Exactly. So, we're going to go into some topics today, but first I want to start with like, let's just talk about photos because that's kind of what everybody thinks about when they're first thinking about like, oh, I need to list my property and I need to get my photos done. And do you know a good photographer? Well, yes, I do. By the way, Chris literally travels and his team travel everywhere. But that's kind of the first part. And what we're going to go on later is like, that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? The
Yep.
photos are just like they're not even the baseline. They're just like what you have to
It's
have.
it's the minimum. Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to talk first about how, like, tell me what listing photos actually convert. Like, talk to me about what you see of what actually works.
Yeah. What doesn't work is when you open a listing and it looks like a listing from 10 years ago. And those are the photos that you have, which I see all the time uh, on great top 1% properties and the ones that you would expect to perform as they do. But there are a lot of people that, like, I know somebody that does real estate photography. They can come shoot my Airbnb. They can, but it's going to look like you're selling it. And it's not going to convey what is important in the detail shots and the setting and what the feeling of and the experience of being in that property really is. And so finding someone who knows how to do that, it's a much smaller segment of people than the people that might do real estate photography. And it's harder still to find someone who can do both well and be able to kind of pivot their styles in that way. But it's definitely critical. And like you said, that's kind of the minimum. Like it's not even I guess I should splurge for this. Like if you're serious about having a short-term rental that's going to perform at all, let alone, give you a surplus beyond just paying your mortgage for the property, you need to invest in that at a minimum in proper STR photos. Uh, it's right up there for me with partnering with somebody most of the time. If you're a single owner, you're just looking to invest with at least, going full property management or good solid co-host, and then getting a designer to help you put it together. Because most of the time, you may think that you have a good eye, and that might mean that you know how to walk through the aisles at Target and get things that look cute. But the people that I've walked in and seen the best looking properties either are worked with a designer who that's what they do and they spent the money on that to help put that together, or it's somebody who did it themselves, but it's somebody who's co-hosting already or does property management with tens or more properties. So it's not really the owner operator type of mindset, like, oh, I bought a property and I just staged it. Right after those two things is the media and getting a good photographer at minimum.
Absolutely. And it's not one or the other. Like you can do those other things, but you still have to
Right.
invest in the media, you know.
Correct.
And like you said, I remember one time I hired you for one of my real estate listings, but I didn't tell you that it was for a real estate listing. It was just for, you thought it was my short-term rental listings because we have so many of those. And you went and
Yep.
shot it. And then I remember my sellers were like, it looks like an Airbnb listing. And so what you said is true.
Good.
Like,
I'm glad. I'm glad they can
yeah,
tell.
they're like, I don't think people buying the house need to see the coffee bar and the coffee
Yeah.
maker.
Right.
But in
Yeah.
a short-term rental listing, that is so critical, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to have that. And,
And
let's
it's a
talk about,
balance because you need to shoot it in a way where you can, if all you have are the detail shots, all the pretty, right? Here's the nice dining set placemats on the table, and then here's our coffee bar. If all you have are the detail shots, people are probably going to either ask or move to the next listing of like, okay, great. What does the living room look like? Right. So you need to have a mix of you have the wide shots that you kind of would if it was a listing, but that's to show the space. You want to show the space. What's the layout? Where are the bedrooms? How do they relate to each other? Where's the couch versus the chair versus the kitchen versus the TV? Then you mix in those detail shots that you can kind of sprinkle in your first five. Your hero shot's probably more like a detail shot or Twilight, not to jump ahead. I know we're going to get to that. Um,
Mhm.
but you need to have that good mix because people want to know what it looks like, what it's going to be to walk around the space, but then you want to convey what it's going to feel like as well, and not just where the walls are.
Yeah, I want to know when I'm looking at a property, like, what is my experience going to be when I stay at this property? Like, how am I going to be
100%.
spending my time? What areas is my family going to congregate? And then what areas can I kind of go to get away, right? Like having,
Right.
that
Yeah.
balance. So let's talk about the first 5 photos, those first hero shots. Tell me, like,
hmm
what do you see the best 5 top hero shots being?
So it boils down to a couple common characteristics that I see. Drone is one for sure. Um, we're here in Northeast Florida, so most things are within eyesight of water, at least especially from 300 or 400 feet in the air. Um, but even if it's not water, the view is the important thing. So whether that's best shown from the air or from the front deck, there's so many super performing properties in the mountains, in the Smokies, in Asheville, in that part of the country, or even out in Sedona. You know, uh, and it's the view that catches people's attention. So whether that's the exterior view, or if it's not that great on the outside in the setting, but your inside or your backyard is the killer location, that's what you need to showcase. So whether it's a drone photo at sunrise or sunset over the mountains, and you can kind of see a nestled cluster of lights, but that's where you want to convey is this is where you're going to be nestled in. Or if the cabin sits in a spot where it's got picture windows inside or big deck outside and you've got string lights, that may be your hero shot with sunset coming down through the trees over the ridgeline. Or if you're by the water, or if you have a killer backyard, and by that I don't mean you bought a fire pit from Home Depot and you put it in the middle of the yard with 5 plastic Adirondack chairs around it. That doesn't make a killer backyard. That's what you need to highlight. So typically that killer view is one. Your living area is going to be another one. Maybe the master. If you have something that's like a really nice game room space, kids play area, that should be one. If you have a pool, that should be another one. And then if at least one of those isn't already a Twilight photo, people love Twilight photos. They like to see the bistro lights. They like to see the color in the sky, the clouds. That's going to catch people's attention. So the properties that usually will stand out to people often have a combination of 2 or 3 of those characteristics in their one thumbnail first photo, and then those other photos are in the other 4 of those top 5.
Good point. Yeah, now, I mean, it's standard now whenever you shoot any of my properties is like, we're getting twilights. We want to make sure, even if it's not by the water, even if there's not a view, I still
Yeah.
think that having that variance of like how the property lives throughout the day, whether in the
hmm
morning, the evening, the afternoon, like you have that kind of, again, that experience of like, oh, this is what it's going to feel like to be there when the sun is setting or when the sun is coming
Yeah.
up. I think the
Yeah.
twilights are just so key, and that lighting is that golden hour, it just makes the most
Yeah.
beautiful photos. So,
And that depends on what you're looking for. And I think a lot of hosts don't know this, and owners. So it's something that we often will kind of advise on, or we'll just almost, not almost, we'll overshoot the real twilights so that you have the option. So
mhm.
uh, there's really two different looks. So this is insider pro tips for when you're asking your photographer for twilights. As you can maybe ask them kind of what time that they usually will shoot, or you'll know a little bit more so you know exactly what to look for. If you want everything to look that warm orange and pink, um, very vibrant color in the sky, the clouds are on fire, that kind of look. Or if you're by the water, you can see the sun, the orange ripples in the water, right? That's right prime time, middle of golden hour at sunrise or sunset. Now, if you have a really well done backyard, fire pit, lighting in your pool, good landscape lighting, you do not want golden hour photos. You're not going to be able to tell that you have any of those things because there's going to be way too much light in the sky, and the sun, even though it's hitting the horizon, and even just after that, is going to overpower all of those things. And the photos and the time of day when your window lights pop, your landscape lighting pops, your bistro lights are what is lighting the backyard. Your pool looks like it's glowing from underneath. That's more what's called blue hour. So your photographer needs to either get there earlier or stick around later, because golden hour is an hour. It's 30 minutes before and after civil sunset or sunrise. So 30 minutes on either side. So let's say sunset tonight, I think, is about 8:15 here in Florida Central Time. So from 7:45 is going to be the beginning of golden hour. It's going to go till 8:45. Then 8:45 to 9:45 is blue hour. That's when you're going to have just a little bit of light left in the sky. It'll be more like a faint navy blue. Stars not necessarily out yet, but you have a low enough ambient light in the sky that those other lights are going to pop. And that's going to give you that look. If that's what you want, versus a really nice sunset in the sky. Totally different look.
I didn't know that about the blue hour, so that's really great. So, whenever we're planning these, are these questions that someone should be asking their media team in advance about the blue hour, for example?
So it's something that the photographer will be there long enough to do if it's at sunset. If they're coming in for sunrise, they'll need to know that those are shots that you want and to come earlier. So part of what we do is we send out a full checklist of making sure the property is ready. And if there's any specific shots that you want, you need to communicate that to us ahead of time, because nobody likes delivering all the photos or video or both. And then 5 days later, you review everything and you say, hey, did you have a shot of this and a shot of that? And what about an angle of this from over there? Like, those would have been great shots that I would have gotten if I knew that you wanted those
Right.
shots that I didn't just know walking
Yeah.
around the property. Uh,
I think it's great. Like from now on, I think like anytime that we do projects together, I think what would be really helpful is for us to have a meeting, like a strategy meeting with
yeah.
with the designer, myself, or whoever owns the property, whoever you're shooting for, and then the media
Hmm.
team, and go through. If you have like a real estate listing, let's say you're buying the property and you're planning all of this, which you should be working
Yeah.
with your realtor ahead of time to do this, but planning, okay, this is, where we're going to put this is where we're going to put that. Here's the kind of staging we need. Like maybe we'd like to have a charcuterie board and wine glasses, or, towels on the beach chairs, and a book, by on the chairs, like on the loungers, and
Hmm.
the umbrella up. We need to have all this stage, and here's the shot list that I think that, would be really great. Like having a strategy meeting with your team
Hmm.
beforehand, with the
Yeah.
media, the designer, and the seller or the buyer of the property. I think that would be really helpful so that you really get out of it what you want, because these shoots now are thousands of dollars. I mean,
Hmm.
I think, anywhere from we could expect to spend like $3,000 to $5,000 on a really well built,
Yeah.
social media,
Especially when you get
full
into
content.
lifestyle and you're staying there for pretty much a day. Usually it's a 2 day shoot, because we might need, not might, we're going to need more than one sunset to get the videos and the photos and then the lifestyle shots with people. We can't do all that in 1 hour of sunset with only 20 minutes of that being the ideal lighting.
Right.
So 100%. And your photographer, whoever you're working with, and when you have that meeting, there's sites that we can use, and I do this often because Sybil Twilight can be sunset or sunrise. I think a lot of people also don't realize that it doesn't have to just be a sunset shoot. It pretty much looks the same, just depends on which half the day you want to be there for.
Right.
But
Or how
where
early
your
you want to get up.
properties or that when the time changes, it makes it a lot more of a pain to start doing sunrise shoots than
That's true.
sunsets.
Well,
But
one thing
it's
I will note,
important.
any of my beach
Yeah,
fronts, I really like the sunrise because when the
right.
sun is rising over the ocean, like it's just stunning.
A hundred
So,
percent. And that's kind of where I was going with that is depending on which way your house is facing. I've
right.
had this for listings before where they wanted sunsets. Like, oh, well, do you want sunrise or sunset? I don't know which one would be better. And then I'll say, let me look. And I can pull it up and see where the transit of the sun is on that property and whether it's facing north, south, east, or west. It's like, okay, is the front of the house nicer or is the back of the house nicer? Do you have a pool? No pool. Okay. If you want to highlight the backyard more, we should probably do sunset. Or
Mm-hmm.
like Nikki, if you've got a oceanfront property and you're on the East Coast, sunrise would probably be the better bet because you're going to get those shots looking off the front of the house at the ocean with the sun
Yeah.
coming up instead of setting behind you over Central Florida.
Yeah.
So that
And vice
all goes
versa
into that.
for like the intracoastal front homes.
Right.
Maybe we've got some like with docks and such on the intercoastal. Those we do sunset
Yeah.
because now the sun is
Right.
setting over there and you get that really pretty. Yeah, so all those things. So let's dive into the lifestyle photos because this is huge. We just did one of my properties, my Destin property, actually where you're at right now, which is so cool.
Yep.
That you're going and shooting again for me. But we just did an epic, like commercial style lifestyle shoot there. And I would love for you to just talk
Hmm.
about like how important that is, why this is trending now, and what do you see the future of this and why it's so critical.
Yeah. So I think even more than it used to be, people need help envisioning themselves in the property. And we as a company apply this to listings and branding content and commercials that we're doing for all kinds of businesses. Everybody has a story to tell. And whether that's the story of the property, the story of what your vacation could look like with your family, or the story of a business that has a certain service or a product and how that's going to make the impact and make the end user feel. It's all telling a story. And that applies obviously as much or more than anything in hospitality. And when you're talking about a short-term rental, where you might take your family on vacation or where you might go with your girlfriend and you're planning the proposal and you want to know everything about the location, what the house looks like, all these different things. The days of uh, people that have a house that they bought in 2012 and 14 with a 2% interest rate that they've held on to and it's sitting in a community, HOA community, and they just want to make it an Airbnb and they don't touch anything and just make it live and think it's good enough are so far gone. Like I will walk into those sometimes and shoot. Like it literally looks like their house. They just left and now they're making it an Airbnb.
Right. Those are going to fail.
100%. And
If
then they
this is
wonder
you,
why their bookings are
reach out
low
to
or
us.
they're, yeah, please, yes. We'll put a 1-800 hotline at the bottom if that's you, if you need help.
1-800 help me save my
Yes.
failing Airbnb.
Well, if you or a loved one has been diagnosed with a bad Airbnb,
We want to help you
but
because we want a good name in the industry.
yes, the properties that are standing out have one, like we mentioned, they've set up the branding, they have a plan, they are already investing into it because they know this is how I'm going to be seen and stand out. Airbnb and STR in general is also so much more saturated than it was 10 years ago, where if you just existed in your town, people would find you. Now you have to, every time I go to look on Airbnb, you have to zoom in a little bit more and a little bit more to see gaps between all the red pins of properties. And the ones that stand out have those good photos, but then it's the lifestyle that's then separating from the rest of the crowd. And it's getting people to interact in the space. And even you may notice that pictures that'll stand out to you or that draw you to them, sometimes people aren't even looking at you. Oftentimes there are people, their photos from behind, and you're looking over like someone's shoulder, or watching someone sit at the pool or sit at the fire pit, because it's almost easier for your brain to envision you being that person when there's not a face there to also have to cover up, because then it's obvious this is this person. But when you get those kind of shots looking from behind, it's just easier for our brains to kind of place yourself in that position. And especially if you know you're in an area with a lot of kids and families. If you bring a family to your property for the shoot instead of two couples, that's a choice. That's how you want to market your property, who you want it to stand out to more. And being able to show what it's going to be like to be there, what maybe dinner's going to look like by the pool, what playing in the pool is going to look like, what using the game room is going to look like. Being able to see those moments and people place themselves in those situations and start to daydream a little bit, like, I could see us doing that. Or, hey, look, honey, they're walking to their beach and their kids are running around with their dog and playing. We could bring Bowie and play, and the girls can play on the, like that.
Yeah.
Look at that. That looks so nice. Instead of, oh, cool beach. I wonder if they allow dogs.
Yeah.
Or the game room looks cool. I think I like pin. Well, it's totally different,
Well,
and
and it
that's what
goes,
really helps separate.
yeah, and it goes back to like if you ever tried to sell an empty house or you've ever looked
Yep.
at an empty house, like maybe you're
Mm-hmm.
shopping for houses and you looked at empty houses, but then you see a staged house and you're like, oh, like I love this. And it's
Yep.
it's because most people's imaginations cannot visualize. They can't go there. First of all, they're too
Yep.
busy. It takes time to actually
Mm-hmm.
sit and visualize what an experience would be or what a space would look and feel like. That takes time and that takes creativity, imagination, and time and
Mm-hmm.
space to have
Yep.
the capacity to sit there and actually try to bring that out of your brain, right?
Yep.
And so, with the way that our attention spans are now, it is more important than ever because we have this TikTok real type of life where our brains literally
Mm-hmm.
can't focus for more than 3 seconds. You need to help someone do all the work for them, like make it
Yep.
easy for them to book because they're just like, oh
Yep.
my gosh, this one's it. We're gonna have the best time ever here, right?
Yep.
That's in like I just put the outdoor movie theater and the property that you're staying at, and people just go wild over that. They never even
Mm-hmm.
use it. I'll tell you that they really rarely use it, but when they see it in the photos, they're like, oh my gosh, that's so fun. I can imagine my
They want to
family.
be here because it
Right.
looks like a cool place to be,
Right.
a cool thing. 100%.
Yes.
100%.
Yes, exactly. So the lifestyle photos I think are like non-negotiables for you
Yep.
now if you're really wanting to be a top performing property. You need to stand out, and that's something that not everyone is doing, and you need to get ahead of it and
Mm-hmm.
start doing that now. I really think that that's important. So let's dive into reels and social media for short-term rentals.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, how can reels drive bookings?
So real estate as a whole, the most traffic that comes through there uh, overall are Facebook and YouTube. And those are through videos. Video as a medium gets more than double the views that any still photo, graphic, or any of that gets anywhere on social media. And then you can also throw Instagram into the mix there when you're talking reels and short form content as well for just uh, my wife will sometimes, and I know it's not unique to her, will search for places to potentially stay on social media. It's not all, let me go to Google and type in best places to stay. Or now people are using ChatGPT. Chat's the second largest search engine now behind Google. People are using it as a search engine. So Reels, because it's video and because of the platforms of them and the way that short form content is consumed, is by far the best way to get the most views to your property. And that's one of the important things, is getting it out there. So part of your branding for your property should include, at minimum, a Facebook and an Instagram page, if not a YouTube channel, because the one of the things that I see all the time, or I hear about, and I try to consult clients that are, in their STRs, especially that just got a showcase package, which includes video, and they've invested in it. If all they do is take their video and park it on their direct booking page or VRBO or Airbnb, they're not maximizing it to its best potential. It's the purpose of the video is to market the video and then put your description and put a link to your booking page in the description. So you use the videos to drive traffic to your site. If all you do is park it on the site, it's not going to do its job unless someone's looking for your property, essentially, or property that looks like yours. They're not going to find it unless they stumble upon scrolling. Oh, this one has a video. Let's see what that looks like, versus putting it out on Facebook and Instagram with a link for people to click. This video looks awesome. Where's this place? What are the details? What is it going to cost me to go there? How big is it? Click the link. Now they're on your booking page. Now they're going to favorite it, share it, talk about it, book, because the video was used to drive the traffic. So reels are definitely a huge part of that. And when it makes sense, YouTube as well, for the longer format videos as well.
I totally agree. I mean, I'm learning from some colleagues in the industry that have built, micro resorts and hotels, and some of them are doing like Bolt Farm Treehouse, for example. They are 100% direct booking, all from social media, literally
Mm-hmm.
all from reels,
Yep.
and their main strategy is doing like people soaking in the hot tub and looking at the mountain views, and like it's real life. Like you're literally, and someone sees it and they're like, "Oh, I'm sending this to my honey because I want to go here. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, look at this! This
Yeah.
looks so pretty. I can't wait to stay here." You're literally making it so easy. How many times? So recently, I have fallen major victim to buying clothing from when people are marketing the clothing. They're doing all the try-ons and all the hauls, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's so easy. That's so cute. Let me buy that. Why?
Yep.
Because it's easy. Because I see
Yep.
it in real life. Because I'm like, oh, she did the work for me. She found it for me and gave me the link
Mm-hmm.
and made it easy where I can just be like, click, buy.
Yep.
Thank you. Have it to my door in
Yep.
a few days. It's the same
Yep.
thing. You have to literally take that same psychology into your vacation rental, right? And
100%. It's marketing and it's psychology, just like you just said. It all applies. Just what you're selling and how you sell it change a little bit, how you position it. And your reels, when we say reels, that doesn't mean 60 to 90-second videos every time. It can be 10 to 15-second snippets of just one scene, like you just said, the hot tub, or walking in the front door, or sitting on the couch next to the fire. Like those are
yeah,
all things, or like a single drone shot coming up out of the woods and then revealing a lake.
yeah.
All that is content and can be chopped up and used and leveraged.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking all the content that you guys have built for me and literally just putting them in like 10 seconds because people's attention span are short and it's so
Yep.
easy. And it's literally like one liners on the screen. Like, you, me, no phones this weekend. Like, just
Yep.
that simple. Like, and people are like,
Yep.
yeah, that sounds really good. I'm going to do that.
Yep.
Right. So definitely. And so whenever you are planning your property and you're planning your media, number one, find a good media partner. Number two, definitely interviewing them. Number three, having that strategy meeting about what your shot lists are going to be. But also number four, planning out your content that you're going to get for social media. You need that video content. You need that cinematic drone footage, right? You need to have that content, and you keep that content in a content bank, and you can reuse that content over and over and over again. And so, Chris, you said Facebook, Instagram, TikTok is definitely one that I've not had success on, but I know other people have. And then something I think I need to do from all of my vacation rental properties, which our brand is Elite Stays, I need to definitely create the YouTube, because why not? It's free. I can go post the
Yep.
videos and then they live
Yep.
out there forever. And that's feeding SEO when people go and look for properties in Broken Bow or Florida or Destin or where
Hmm.
else do I have properties? I don't know. But like when they go and search for those
Yeah.
properties,
Right.
YouTube is also feeding that, right? So that's something I
Yep.
definitely need to do. That's an action item that I have. Hopefully, you guys are getting
Absolutely.
good action items and nuggets from this podcast as well, and you guys are taking notes and you're going to apply them, because listening and consuming is one thing, but when you apply, that's when you really get the results. So, all right, let's move into, let's talk about a little project that you've been working on,
Yes.
Airbnb
Yes.
listing optimization. You've got something
Yes.
cool dropping. You want to tell them about what you're up to?
Yeah. So it's technically is live right now, but I'm going to set the date for June 1st to start sending out to what's going to be basically a small initial user group to start getting some tests out. But it's called Listing Lab AI, AI buzzword, AI. But it's I even saw today, I was telling Nikki in one of the Airbnb tips and tricks groups that we're in, a really top performing manager for STRs was giving 5 tips and said, before you change your price, do these 5 things. And it included update your description, update your photos, make sure they're in the right order for your photos, change your positioning and the title, not just your description. And these are some of the 25 different data points that you get in the reports when you run them through this extension. And that's what it's built to be, as just a Chrome extension. It has 2 different modes. So both the investors and the operators can look at a property. You can go on a Zillow and look at a property for sale. And it'll give you a breakdown on estimated financials, positioning, who your ideal guest avatar is, titles for the listing. It'll give you quick win recommendations, some things to be cautious of, and a rough projections on what your conservative baseline and optimized cash flows are going to look like. And then on the operator side, you'll be able to go to Airbnb, VRBO, most direct booking websites, and get an analysis of your listing as if you sent an email to a friend of yours who's been in property management with vacation rentals for 10 years and said, hey, can you give me a breakdown on this listing? It's going to look at your description, your amenities. And the big thing here is it has a photo analysis tool, and you can find other sites out there that'll give you the numbers. It'll break them down, give you your comps. Nothing else will look at your photos and give you an analysis of what your hero photo looks like, what order your first 5 photos are recommended that you put them in, anything you're missing, quick wins, ways to optimize. And it's all in an AI report that generates in under 2 minutes. So I'm super excited about that. I've been working on it for about the last 6 or 7 months here, and we are finally live.
Wow, congratulations. I know I've been following along since you've been developing this, and it's just so cool to see you bring this to life. And honestly, like, I admire you. You juggle so much. You inspire me always to like keep going and like do more. And I'm like, dang, like, okay, like Chris is pushing me always to like, like, I mean, we push each other, but I think that
Yeah,
it's
we do
super
for sure.
cool. Yeah, it's super
Thank you.
cool. So what made you
Yeah,
want
I'm
to
excited.
develop this?
I saw the opportunity for it. Like I mentioned, I know there are sites out there that give you the numbers, but that was it. And I saw an opportunity to leverage AI in this way, and then making it easily distributable as a Chrome extension instead of a standalone website or app. And especially with the idea behind it was, I wanted to, yes, give a rough financial breakdown for the numbers in that sense of potential revenue, but then to bring in the aspects of the photo analysis, but also looking at it from the marketing and psychological perspective, like we were just talking about. Like, here's what's missing from a lot of these other analysis tools, the few that exist. Again, most of them are financial. Nobody's looking at it as if you're the marketing guy for Four Seasons or Marriott worldwide, right? They exist. Those people are out there. And you believe when you watch those commercials, and this goes back to the lifestyle that we talked about for marketing your property, you, you'd be maybe not hard pressed, but when you watch a commercial for Marriott or Sandals or Four Seasons, the whole commercial is not of the room. There might be one shot of like, I'm walking into the room. The rest of that commercial is what there is to do around there, what the setting looks like, the restaurant, and how you're going to feel being there. And that is all part of the marketing psychology that has been proven to be effective. And these global hospitality brands approach their marketing in that way. And that's what I wanted to bring some of that approach to your everyday Jack's Beach condo listing. That still is a factor in driving your marketing and how you position it. So having a guest promise and what your ideal avatar will be for this type of property based on where it is and what it has to offer, and your overall positioning and your summary are all part of that, and is looked at from the perspective of that high-end global hospitality marketing and psychology. That combined with the photos, and then your revenue and your comps are just kind of they're there to be relevant to, well, I can get that from over there, but it really is that comprehensive overall analysis that really doesn't exist. And that's what I'm most excited about, is the moat between what this offers and anything else that either doesn't exist or doesn't come close to it.
That's awesome. I can't wait to use it. I know you said I'm going to get to test it out.
Yep.
So I will definitely be giving you guys feedback, and maybe we can do a whole nother episode on that.
Yep.
If you guys want that, drop that in the comments. If you guys want us to dive into that, because I'm only going to do it if there's a
Yeah.
demand.
I'm collecting emails for the first 50. They're going to get a special founder level pricing for life. If you sign up, after that, it goes to standard price.
I better be on that list.
You are. You're number one on the list.
Yeah. Let's go. There's 49 spots, okay? There's 49 spots left.
There you go. And counting.
Yeah, and so just one thing we didn't really touch on is like direct booking. There's a lot of chatter in the industry about building direct bookings. And I will tell you guys, like, you cannot build direct booking if you are not investing in your media and your marketing. This is the number one thing. You have to be investing in that. And, let's say that I've hired Chris to do all my properties. We actually have a new one that we need to do, by the way. But I also, now I'm like, oh, I want to go to my property and get like more like real live content of like my family hanging out there and the things that we're doing, and like sharing that and spending that time there. So it's not just like, yes, getting your media package, like, and then really nice cinematic drones and all the content, like your content bank, like we talked about, like having that bank of content that you're going to reuse. But like also there are other ways to market. A lot of my colleagues in the industry, they've been doing a lot of influencer stays, which can be tricky. That is a whole nother topic for a whole nother day, about utilizing influencers. It can be really, really great, or it can be really, really terrible. But getting that UGC, that user generated content, but that can also be you and your own family in the property. Like, I'm all for this polished, perfect, lighting type of media, but also, guys, like, if you want to build direct booking, you need to have content about your property, in your property, real life stuff. And you're never going to build a direct booking with direct booking funnel and trust with your customers if you don't have marketing. If they don't see that you're consistent in your marketing, that is going to be a huge downfall, and people just aren't going to trust your brand, and they're just not going to book with you. They're going to question, oh, is this a scam, or is this real? I don't know, because I don't have the trust. They literally have 5 posts on Instagram.
And that's a big part of, we talk about this with social media clients in different industries that we have, and in real estate. And the same thing would apply for your brand, right? You set up that Facebook, that Instagram page, and then you make it, and you post your first video, and you set a cover photo, and then you try to build direct booking. How are you marketing your direct booking? You're probably posting on your Facebook and your Instagram. But if all you're posting are, hey, go book here, go book here, go book here every Monday at 8 in the morning, nobody's going to pay attention. And that's one of the biggest things with social media, is organic social media is now how businesses build credibility.
Absolutely.
And the way of, oh, we've got a website, and you've seen our commercials on TV, for big service industries and products. That is less and less true every year we go by. There are so many times now, people aren't even asking for websites. They're like, what's your Instagram?
Hmm.
They want to be able to go to your Instagram, look at your bio, look at the first full page of posts, and be able to find out who you are, what you do, why you're different from everybody else, and what you offer. And if they can't do that, or they go and it's got two posts, maybe a bio with a website in there, they're like, okay, next. So it's super important to have the consistency. And if you can't do it, hire somebody to do it, because you need to have the consistency, you need to have the content, and that's what's going to build credibility, so that when you're posting about your property, or you decide you want to run an ad about your property, it doesn't, one, get taken down immediately, but also people aren't going to click on the ad and go to your site and see that you've got two posts in the last 9 months, but you're trying to get them to your direct booking, which doesn't have any media on it, and it looks like it's text, black text on a white background with 5 pictures and a book now button. I wouldn't book that. You probably wouldn't either.
Nope, definitely not. Definitely not. I'm not doing that. Not getting sucked in.
Yeah,
So we talked a little bit, just you and I offline. I want to talk about how organic social is the new SEO.
yeah. You stole my tagline. It was good, wasn't it?
Yep, got it.
Yeah. The way of SEO, of people paying 3 grand a month for SEO as a service, is pretty much dead. There are very few industries and niches that makes sense to do anymore. Uh, AI has changed the game in regards to that. AI is indexing across all platforms for their results. Chat, like I said earlier, is now the second largest search engine behind Google. People will go into ChatGPT and say, what is the best 5 restaurants in Jacksonville, Florida? They're not going to Google for that anymore. And but that also plays into when you do search for, I need uh you know investment property in St. Augustine, or what's the best Airbnb in St. Augustine? And what's going to happen is you have search results that are showing, and videos from social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook Reels, all being indexed in your results. And you probably have all seen this. You Google something or ChatGPT, and it'll show you search results that are Reels or from YouTube. And that's not because Google got together with Meta. Those are two separate companies. They have nothing to do with each other. They're not sharing their information in that sense. But AI is going in the back end and pulling from everything everywhere. And you might have noticed, we were talking about this earlier. If you go into Instagram and you click on a video, click on the comments, that window that pops up with all the comments in it, you'll probably see a little purple magnifying glass with text next to it. That's what AI thinks that your video is about. And usually it's right. I just pulled up an example uh, earlier, and you it's a talking head of an agent. He's talking about a couple different neighborhoods in Jacksonville. You click on the comments and you look at it, purple magnifying glass. This is what was generated by Instagram. The best neighborhoods to live in Jacksonville. So somebody Googles best neighborhoods to live in Jacksonville. You better believe you scroll maybe a little less, maybe further down, but it probably will be indexed in there with his video, because AI said this is what he's talking about, and it's pertinent to what you just asked about in your search. So that, when you leverage that into your direct booking website, across your media, across social media, and you're posting, and it's not all B-roll. Sometimes it's somebody talking about the property, or maybe you have a reel on there because you're talking with your designer for 60 seconds, 90 seconds about what went into the design. AI is going to index all that together and give you much better results on your direct booking site, or to
Yeah.
any page, really. It could be your listing page, but when you have your own direct booking site, it's like renting from a platform. It's like renting an apartment versus owning your house. You can do whatever you want with your house. You can build it the way you want, optimize it the way you want, and really leverage all your media, your design, your functionality to get people to opt in, give a freebie, whatever it is, versus being handcuffed by a platform that you're getting to use where you can only follow by a certain strict number of rules. And that could be something as small or as big as I can't post my full video or multiple videos. I can only put one. So now you're handicapped. It just gives you a
Yeah.
lot more leverage in your marketing with direct booking for sure.
Yeah, and you begin to own your audience, right?
Yep.
So, and just, people are not searching on Google anymore for travel, for short term rentals. They're
Yeah.
searching on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook groups are huge. They're looking for travel inspiration. Travelers
Yep.
are actually discovering destinations through their content first, and then they're deciding where to stay. And your
Hmm.
property can become the reason someone books the destination itself. Like they just find the property and they're inspired by it. They weren't even planning to go there, right? But
Yeah.
because your property caught their attention, they're like, "Ooh, we should plan a trip here," right? And they discover a new area, and
Yeah.
that's the beauty of this is you can create your own demand by creating content and
Yeah.
inspiring people to book. So it's pretty cool. Um, so I just want to kind of touch on a few things. So your short-term rental should not just be an Airbnb listing, okay? It should have a media ecosystem. And you guys, anytime if you're going to open a business, and I think of each short-term rental as its own business, your business would, the day you open, would not be where you ultimately want that business to be. You're going to build upon that business and constantly be making it better. So don't feel overwhelmed that you don't have all these things, because you can start in baby steps and one thing at a time. You could just start with a Facebook or just start with an Instagram. I definitely would say having a direct booking website, for me, that is critical. It's really important to be able to own your customer and own your own bookings and not be relying on channel listing sites to get all of your business. I would start with that. And then once you have a way for people to book directly with you, I would absolutely start to build out my media ecosystem. Having an Instagram, a TikTok, and starting to build an email list, having a Google presence, starting to do those influencer collaborations, tapping into Facebook groups, having your Facebook page, all of those things. You could do a blog, you could do LinkedIn if you have a lot of contacts and reach on LinkedIn. That's something that you could also tap into. But those are just some things that I wanted to just touch on with you guys. It's like you can build over time. And remember, you don't have to do this all by yourself. Like I don't do all my social media and content by myself. I have Coral Cove Media doing all of it. Like I literally just record the content or, send them to the properties and they do everything else, all the editing, all the posting, all the everything for me, because I'm only one man, right? I'm only
Yep.
one man.
Can only be so many places in a day.
You got to build the team. Like that way I can focus my energy on acquiring more properties, underwriting properties, finding deals, scaling the business, improving the business, focusing on the things that are like working on the business, not in the business, right? So
Yep.
this has been really awesome, Chris. Is there anything else that you want to leave the listeners with?
I think we've covered a lot of good things. One thing, I guess, was one of our things about potentially with marketing that I'll speak on just a little bit is with AI. It's just something to be a little cautionary of. I'm I'm seeing people that almost like people's photos that look like they're AI, which to me isn't a good thing because AI is getting so prevalent and overused. It's a great tool. It's a great enhancement. Don't get me wrong on that. We definitely leverage that. Sometimes you can't have multiple days for a sunset, or you get clouded out. We can make a good sunset, but when you are doing staged photos and the people that are in your photos are clearly not real people, or you're making entire videos out of AI, it's very polarizing. So just be aware of that. If you're making content entirely that is AI generated, you will get people that'll think it's cool, and you'll get people that will watch 3 seconds, figure out it's AI, and swipe through it. It's just very polarizing. So just something to be aware of. It is very popular and is growing in its popularity and how easy it is to use, but people crave authenticity. And that can be a 5 or 7 second reel or a 5 minute talking through the property that you just walked into on your vacation. But authenticity is still king.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, we are so grateful for your time. You brought a lot of value today. Hopefully, we'll have you back to talk about the listing lab. And congrats on that, and wishing you a very successful launch. And thank you guys for tuning in to the Invest with Nikki podcast. Until next time.
Thank you.